To a Skylark, is a poem completed by Percy Bysshe Shelley in late June 1820 and published accompanying his lyrical drama Prometheus Unbound by Charles and James Collier in London. Percy Bysshe Shelley, the 4th of August 1792, the 8th of July 1822, was one of the major English Romantic poets. A radical in his poetry as well as in his political and social views, Shelley did not achieve fame during his lifetime, but recognition of his achievements in poetry grew steadily following his death, and he became an important influence on subsequent generations of poets including Robert Browning, Algernon Charles Swinburne, Thomas Hardy, and W.B. Yeats. American literary critic Harold Bloom describes him as a superb craftsman, a lyric poet without rival, and surely one of the most advanced skeptical intellects ever to write a poem. It was inspired by an evening walk in the country near Livorno, Italy, with his wife Mary Shelley, and describes the appearance and song of a skylark they come upon. 2. Mary Shelley described the event that inspired Shelley to write, "To a Skylark, in the spring we spent a week or two near Leghorn, Livorno. It was on a beautiful summer evening while wandering among the lanes whose myrtle hedges were the bowers of the fireflies, that we heard the caroling of the skylark." Alexander Mackie argued in 1906 that the poem, along with John Keats' Ode to a Nightingale, are two of the glories of English literature. The nightingale and the lark for long monopolized poetic idolatry, a privilege they enjoyed solely on account of their preeminence as songbirds. Keats's Ode to a Nightingale and Shelley's Ode to a Skylark are two of the glories of English literature, but both were written by men who had no claim to a special or exact knowledge of ornithology as such. The poem consists of 21 stanzas made up of 5 lines each. The first 4 lines are metered in trochaic trimeter, the 5th in iambic hexameter, also called alexandrine. The rhyme scheme of each stanza is ABABB. There are total 105 lines in this poem. Summary. The poem begins with a description of the skylark high above in the sky. The bird is characterized as a spirit. Its song is described as unpremeditated art. The skylark is able to sing while it ascends overhead. Its flight is compared to a cloud of fire. It soars across the descending sun like an unbodied joy. It flies in the purple evening like a star of heaven. It cannot be seen, but its song can be distinctly heard. The skylark's song is compared to other natural phenomena by a series of similes. The song is compared to moonbeams which spread out from behind a cloud during the silence of the night. The song of the skylark is compared to raindrops from rainbow clouds, but these cannot match it. The skylark is then compared to a poet. This is its underlying theme. How can a poet match the song of the skylark? It is symbolic of the poet and what the poet represents and strives for and ultimately achieves. The song of the bird is compared to hymns, which poets sing. The song of the bird and the hymn of the poet are unbidden, but arouse sympathy, because they strike a chord that evokes the fears and hopes of mankind. Both resonate. The bird's song is compared to a high-born maiden in a tower of a palace who likewise uses music to experience and exude love. The skylark is compared to a golden glowworm which moves, unbeholden, through flowers and grass. It is compared to a rose whose petals are blown away by wind gusts which release its unmistakable scent. It is compared to rain showers which revive the grass and the flowers. These are joyous, clear, and fresh. But the music of the skylark surpasses them all. The bird is compared to a sprite, returning to its characterization as a spirit. The author seeks to learn what its song can teach us. What are its thoughts? It surpasses love and wine. Its rapture is divine. Even a hymn to marriage or to victory pales by comparison. They are flawed, but the song of the skylark is flawless, perfect. Who are this song directed to? What is its source? The mountains, waves, fields, the shapes of the sky or plain. Love, of thine own kind, or ignorance of pain. The keen joyance of the skylark is unburdened with languor or annoyance. The skylark sings of a love that does not show, love's sad satiety. It is an unquenchable love. The skylark is not troubled by death as mankind is. Its understanding of death is clear and deep. Its song flows in a crystal stream. As Shelley wrote in Mutability, mankind cannot achieve perfect happiness or bliss as human emotions and thoughts are never unalloyed with pain, sorrow, and loss. Well, look before and after, and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. Man, by contrast to the skylark, cannot achieve this perfect equanimity, serenity, or solace. Mankind is troubled by thought of the past and future. Man fears death. Man pines for what is not, for phantoms and illusions. Purity cannot be achieved. Laughter is always mingled with pain. Human songs, in contrast to that of the skylark, are mixed with sadness, are those that tell of saddest thought. Mankind is imbued with hate, pride, and fear. Even without these limitations, even if we could avoid all pain, we still could not equal the song of the skylark. The skill of the bird's song exceeds all other sounds and even treasures to be found in books. This is because the skylark's song is unearthly, but spiritual and ethereal. The author seeks to learn from the skylark's song the secret of gladness, of happiness. If the author can learn even half of what causes that joy, that harmonious madness, then mankind would listen to the author's poem as he does to the skylark's song. The skylark's song is a metaphor or symbol of nature. As in The Cloud, Shelley seeks to understand nature, to find its meaning. This is his objective. The poem is infused with pathos because he knows that this is an elusive quest. Wayne Marjoram argued that the theme was an ideal being transcending common experience. Irving T. Richards maintained that the poem represented the ideal being's full isolation from mundanity, in which rhetorical questions concerning the source of his ideal's inspiration are addressed. The speaker, addressing a skylark, says that it is a blithe spirit, rather than a bird, for its song comes from heaven, and from its full heart pours profuse strains of unpremeditated art. The skylark flies higher and higher, like a cloud of fire, in the blue sky, singing as it flies. In the golden lightning of the sun, it floats and runs, like an unbodied joy. As the skylark flies higher and higher, the speaker loses sight of it, but is still able to hear its shrill delight, which comes down as keenly as moonbeams in the white dawn, which can be felt even when they are not seen. The earth and air ring with the skylark's voice, just as heaven overflows with moonbeams when the moon shines out from behind a lonely cloud. The speaker says that no one knows what the skylark is, for it is unique. Even rainbow clouds do not rain as brightly as the shower of melody that pours from the skylark. The bird is, like a poet hidden in the light of thought, able to make the world experience sympathy with hopes and fears it heeded not. It is like a lonely maiden in a palace tower, who uses her song to soothe her lovelorn soul. It is like a golden glowworm, scattering light among the flowers and grass in which it is hidden. It is like a rose embowered in its own green leaves, whose scent is blown by the wind until the bees are faint with too much sweet. The skylark's song surpasses all that ever was, joyous and clear and fresh, whether the rain falling on the twinkling grass, or the flowers the rain awakens. Calling the skylark, sprite or bird, the speaker asks it to tell him its sweet thoughts, for he has never heard anyone or anything call up a flood of rapture so divine. Compared to the skylarks, any music would seem lacking. What objects, the speaker asks, are the fountains of thy happy strain? Is it fields, waves, mountains, the sky, the plain, or love of thine own kind, or ignorance or pain? Pain and languor, the speaker says, never came near the skylark. It loves, but has never known love's sad satiety. Of death, the skylark must know things more true and deep than mortals could dream. Otherwise, the speaker asks, how could thy notes flow in such a crystal stream? For mortals, the experience of happiness is bound inextricably with the experience of sadness. Dwelling upon memories and hopes for the future, mortal men pine for what is not. Their laughter is fraught with some pain. Their sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. But, the speaker says, even if men could scorn hate and pride and fear, and were born without the capacity to weep, he still does not know how they could ever approximate the joy expressed by the skylark. Calling the bird a scorner of the ground, he says that its music is better than all music and all poetry. He asks the bird to teach him half the gladness that thy brain must know, for then he would overflow with harmonious madness, and his song would be so beautiful that the world would listen to him, even as he is now listening to the skylark.